outline to the
Okay,
left here.
we're good to
And
go.
it is live. Well, I just want to take a second and say welcome to Alpha Stacks DevChat Late Night. And this is a show about random things in technology, geared a little bit towards mostly towards development and DevOps. Hopefully, it'll make your life interesting or make your life easier and be interesting. So, we've got today with us. We've got Mr. Gilmore, JR, as we like to say, and the topic of this conversation is Active Directory, an introduction to the basics. So,
Hi.
hey, JR, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Oh yeah, hey guys, how you doing? I'm JR. Been in IT for about 13 years or so, and I've known Active Directory since high school. So this is pretty much nothing new to me. This is going to be real basic, and in this particular episode today, we're going to talk about what Active Directory can do for you in a business, and especially in a development environment. Why we need a tool. This is what I'd prefer to call it. A tool like Active Directory and what it means for you. Now, as we all know, we have it's like basically a phone book. So, like, hey, what do you need? What do you need Active Directory for? Well, we got users. You got to manage users. You got to manage groups. And well, let's just say we need to differentiate. Well, we don't need HR people talking to the devs and the devs not talking to system admins because they all need to be isolated in their own groups. So basically, what we're gonna do here, terminal learning objectives here. We got understanding what Active Directory is used for, understanding the functions, understanding the functions of AD and Active Directory, understanding the tools needed to deploy Active Directory. So,
hey, yeah, I'll interject a little bit of that humor right there, is because me and Gilmore have a military history, and he's just using some lingo, some terminology, and yeah, he saw that I understood. But that's a good one, JR.
yeah, I was like, oh, you know what? And I was like, because I had to, it's funny, it's a little sidebar there, but I had to think about it. I was like, you know what? That's the way I need to do it. And well, obviously there's no risk assessment unless you're drinking a beer, so don't get too terribly happy. So,
because I'm already here, man. So yeah.
All right, and please forgive me if I'm looking away from my cameras because my outline is over here to my left here. So please bear with me. So,
well, give us the scoop, man.
All right. So Active Directory is a database that keeps track of the user accounts and passwords in your organization. It allows you to store users' accounts and passwords in a protected, centralized location. So let's see. I'm gonna do a screen share right fast. Oh, where is the lovely screen share? Oh boy. Oh goodness. Here it goes. I got a little diagram to further help understand what's going on here. Oh, there it is. Screen share.
Oh, I thought you had a diagram to show you where screen share was. Come on, man.
Yeah, there it is. There. So, as you can see, can you see my mouse?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So here is your headquarters, and it's really, really badly labeled. But up here we have your headquarters, right? Well, you got the guys that work here. Let's just say we got HR guy here. Let's just say security, because you know what? Every place needs security, because we don't need to be getting infiltrated, hacked, and so on and so forth. Well, we have what's called a primary domain controller. Right, so this is the first domain, the first controller in your domain. So we're deploying it, saying, hey, we need to have centralized. We need to have our centralized directory. So we need to set this up. What's called a PDC here, and we join these computers to the domain one by one. So let's just say this computer A, B, and C. I should have put labels on here. We got A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. All right. So they join the domain, and then they get there's a structure, and I'm going to show you guys that next because I've got that pulled up as well. All right. So share this screen. All right, can you see my mouse?
Yes.
All right, so here we are. We're going to use my domain. I have a domain controller already set up. So a domain controller needs DNS, directory naming service, so that you can resolve. Obviously, we all know what DNS does. DNS, you're able to resolve name to computer or IP address, so on and so forth. Because not always are you going to have a computer that's talking to you. You might have a printer. As in my last example, my last photo that you saw there, you saw that I had a printer and a wireless access point. More on that later because that involves radius, and we'll get to that. But so here we have my primary domain. This is GillyMonsterProductions.com is what I named it. So in here, see, as you can see, we have an Active Directory tree. We got computers, which I shouldn't have any because I have one because I needed it for an example. We've got domain controllers, which there's two, Disco and Doki Doki. Now, but there's a naming scheme, and I'll explain that a little bit later as well. But so here, this is where we can manage our various users, computers, devices, you name it, so on and so forth. Obviously, I only have just an administrator for now because this was recently set up. So we need to add users. We need to add. What do you guys dev? What's dev? What's the big thing you guys are developing right now?
Oh man.
Hey Josh, can you? Is it breaking up on your side, or is it just my connection right now?
Just yours.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, yours.
You know, I'd say, you know, mobile applications. One of the things Stephen especially is working on is an application for gastrointestinal. So you have people that are you know, needing to log in and track their symptoms and send those along to a doctor on a centralized website.
Right.
So
here we're gonna make a group. We're gonna make a group because at this point you're gonna say you got like 10 employees that do that job, right? So what you're gonna want to have is you're gonna want to have groups, right? Because it's easier to manage groups within groups than it is to manage individual users. So let's just say you're 10,000 employee company. Let me ask you something. As a system admin, I'm not going to want to manage 10,000 individual accounts. I'm sorry, that's a headache. Not to mention the devices that go in there. So that, and let's just safely say let's just say 3 devices per person. They've got a laptop, their work computer, and say a mobile device. So now we just went from 10,000 to 40,000.
Okay, so it's more than users, and so you're referencing devices.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure if you want to cover it now or if you want to cover it. It might be some time down the road. I'm interested to hear a little bit more about the device part as well.
Oh, devices? Okay, we can go over the devices. Well, usually you have to have computers, right? Well, what this allows for is management, and now that Active Directory's changed quite a bit over time. But see, what the perk with managing an individual device, I can actually go look at their resources. Let's just say they're having a little technical issue, right? Well, you can actually do a remote assistance. Although I like to use Dameware because it allows me to be on their machine and let's just say this AC down. Oh, I can't get on the internet, so I want to go in there and I can literally go and manage. What is going on? Oh my goodness! No, excuse me one second. I got a cat back.
Yeah, fair enough. And Josh, you might know how to answer this. But so I know it's about computers. Now we were talking a little bit about mobile development. So I guess. Would we be able to have some MDM or some device management capabilities for cell phones also within Active Directory?
I mean, absolutely, because, you know, say the application is being hosted in a Windows development environment, you know, IIS or something like that. It's a .NET application or something like that. You're going to be able to very easily, you know, and especially when you're dealing with domains, because that mobile application is accessing a domain for all of its resources, whether that be files, whether it be just the application itself, or
Right. Okay, so I hear what you're talking about as far as user accounts. I guess what my question was more geared towards is, so he's got computers that are there, but if you had like a Windows 10 phone or something like that, I'm just curious if that device would show up, or if you could more so than a user account for authentication, if you had some device management capabilities. But I guess I'll
oh,
withdraw the
absolutely,
recommendation.
it can. I mean, you can tie that into features. You know, say they were, say the device had basic features and premium features. You can turn that stuff off and on by putting those users into a different AD group. These are users that are premium users of the application.
Yeah, totally. I guess I was looking more still, I think this is
Oh, I did not catch that. UI went dubstep on us again.
yeah. I think we're taking turns on the dubstep, so it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. I mean, I think we're kind of wrapping up that. It was just a little question while you were away. So
Yeah.
jump back into it, man.
All right. So, like, so you need to manage. We just need to look at. We need to look at AC down. Like, oh, they're having problems. So, like,
You're not
let me get my screen out. Yep. Sorry about that. This is my first time giving a presentation.
Yeah, with it. No, man, you're still a good presenter. So
I try my best. After all, I do broadcast. So we're looking at this like, oh, hey, yeah. And you can also see on this, at least in the way, if you're system admin like myself, you can see what specific operating system. And clearly we can see here that that machine is running at Windows 8.1 Pro. And right now it's just in the member. It's just a computer that's on a domain, which means that anybody can log on to it. Anybody who wants to see, just if you have a user account, you can log on to it. But we can also restrict users from logging on to that. And I mean, that's an advance, and I'll go into that in a later episode about Active Directory. Right now, we're just doing the basics. So, my next thing is what is an Active Directory domain? Well, it could be a domain, a big enterprise domain. And Stephen, you know as well as I do. You and I are in the Army. We work in an enterprise domain when we're dealing with. Anytime we put our CAC into a government machine, we can get into their Active Directory domain. It's really huge enterprise.
Similarly with AlphaStack. So yeah, I mean it's definitely used in a lot of big organizations.
Right. Ooh. Could you say something one more time? Because I think I'm having. Oh my goodness, I'm having.
Gilly, come on, man.
Yep. Oh, that's my. Okay, I know what's going on now.
I can hear you pretty clearly, Gilly.
Yeah, it's my. I'm not able to. My silly headphones are acting up right now.
Let's recover and.
Yep. All right, we're good now. You guys were. It's something weird. It's a driver issue I'm having with these headphones. They're high speed, and Windows does what it wants sometimes. So, but you can also back to what I was saying though. You can add. You can actually have Linux machines in here too because they support Samba, or SMB. So you can say access network shares, printers, and say you need to log in. You can actually control wireless this way too. Back to my other example here, and I showed y'all why I had the wireless access point there, is simply because you can use what's called radius.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say we need user A to log into this AP. Well, it keeps A. It's another level of security for your wireless network and your network as a whole. B. You have to have a username and or password to log in. This is why the wireless access point was on there. So as you see, and you're probably curious, that's why I have the PDC, which is primary domain controller, is your headquarters, and the RODC, which is your read-only domain controller. So let's just say, so we got Alpha Stacks, which is based in Kansas City, right? Well, see, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. So maybe Stephen wants to, hey, Gilly, I need you to set up a remote site because we have some assets we need to handle. All right, cool. So what am I going to do? I'm going to set up a domain controller. Say again?
I said, yeah, man, totally.
Oh.
Yeah, help me out with this problem I've got.
Okay, so hey, Gilly, we got our domain set up here. We need you to go ahead and set up a remote site. All right. Well, cool. Well, I need to have my domain controller talk to your domain controller. So we do that by going into our server manager. Oh, and I need to switch screens again. I really need to get this. Here we go. We need to go in here. We're going to add roles and features. And this is what you would do to set up primary too. And I've already set it up on this, so it's not going to show up correctly. But you'll get the gist of what's going on here. So I need to join Disco to the domain. Well, he's remote, and I'm remote. He's the headquarters. So I need to set up read-only domain controllers. What this allows is that I can log into the domain locally. It keeps resources from, say, because we're going to have a site-to-site connection. Well, if anybody knows VPN well or site-to-site, you don't need to be wrecking bandwidth trying to log in. And if just forbid if you have any roaming profiles, which means that the user, whatever settings they have, goes with them on the domain. So if I'm Joe Blow, Snuffy right here, and I want to log it, and I say come to Kansas City, and I log it here, well, this could take all day. So what we need to do is we need to replicate our domain controller. And this read-only means that no changes can be made, and that all commands come from the tower. And that's basically what excuse me, a read-only domain controller. Now, you'll see also here that I have these three other servers, right? Well, these can also be primary domain controllers, and this is for
when you add roles and features wizard. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you know what? Because I'm looking at my two screens and I keep forgetting.
Exactly, man. Because I didn't see it. Okay.
Yeah, I am so sorry about
that. Three more servers. Okay.
Yep. So and I'll go back to the diagram one more time here for that, just to put clarity on what I was saying. All right. So here we have the primary domain controller and the read-only domain controllers and the users. This user can go and log in here. If you have a roaming profile, well, these are site-to-site, and let's just say this isn't a read-only domain controller. It's just a tertiary member server, if you will. Well, this could take all day to pull. Let's just say you have 10 gigs of data in a user. Because I've seen this happen. I've experienced it working with some of the government stuff, and yeah. Well, on a site-to-site, huh?
I said clear your inbox.
Yes. Oh, yes. What is that? What are those files that they don't like to clear? I forget the name of them. But basically, this could be bad. So if it's read-only, this is like I said, this is replicating the primary domain controller. Now, you see, I have three other servers here in the headquarters. Well, this is because these can be member servers within the domain and also secondary primary domain controllers, which means it's basically a backup, or could be a failover cluster for high availability. Because sometimes headquarters might have, 5,000 people. Well, I'm going to tell you one server, most certainly, probably it's not going to be able to handle that. And let's just say that's just one point of failure. Well, we obviously need to have more than one point of failure. So these could be a cluster of primary domain controllers. So if this user logs into this one, this user logs into this one logs into this one, it's kind of like a failover. Load balancing is the word I'd prefer to use there. But let's say this server goes down. Now these can pick up where this one has left off. And same holds true for the read-only domain controllers, that changes can't be written. So anytime a change happens or needs to happen, it'll happen here, and then it'll be replicated to the remote site. So like I was
So here's a question about that. If you've got, so you can have multiple primary domain controllers. You're talking about failover and load balancing and stuff like that. Just a quick question. I know that this is an introductory, so I don't want you to answer it in depth. But could I also have those other three PDCs in different resource groups or availability groups? Could they be in a different location?
Yes, actually they can.
Still,
they can.
Okay.
And
okay. Cool.
Now the
All
question
right, I can
is,
scale. And if there's an earthquake and at my primary site, then my branch office should still be able to handle, well, or my secondary primary site should still be able to handle authentication. Okay.
Right, and yeah, that's like it would be like a warm site, a hot site, you know. Yeah, of course, most definitely, and that usually, and this is a little bit of my networking coming out. This would be something you would probably find in a man. Hot and warm sites. Then there's cold sites, which like where these RODCs are this could actually just be a cold site, and this could be a warm site, just in case, you know, of disaster. So yes, absolutely.
Okay, makes sense. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. All right. All right. Now we're back to me. All right. Cool. Fantastic. Now we're gonna screen share how to set up a domain controller. So you're gonna, let's back up here. So you're gonna go to configure this server. Well, we need to configure a server, add roles and features. All right. So before you begin, it's gonna, you know, give any explanation of what you can add to your server, so on and so forth. And us as devs, I think this is for the most part pretty self-explanatory. So we need a role-based and feature-based, because Active Directory is in fact a role and a feature. All right, so we select the said server. In this case, this is disco.gillymonsterproductions.com, which is the name of the domain. And I've checked Active Directory. And the reason, the sole reason I actually set the domain up beforehand was because when I did this, and when I was doing some of it in the cloud, this is like a 45-minute procedure, give or take, because it has to write, it basically has to create the database, and that can be time-consuming. And I haven't tested it on higher-end hardware to check and guess my theory on that, and you know what? I'll get back to you all on that one a little bit later.
It goes faster.
Oh, does it? Yeah, because I wasn't sure. This was on a Core 2 Duo, so, and then I did it in the cloud. It was a 1-core, and I was like, oh, this takes all day. All right.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I'm certain on a 18-core, I'm sure that would be a quick and dirty task. I'm certain. And of course, you're gonna roll it in, and I'm gonna cancel this here. And then it's going to require to restart. And boom, now you've got your domain controller. And like I said, you can add users, but we're going to go to the users right fast, and we're going ahead and make a new group. And I feel like I'm all over the place here.
You're doing all right.
I'm going by my. All right, so we're going to make a group. This is a new object. So we're going to right click. Actually, you know what? I got a better idea. I'm going to show you guys a little neat tool that I like to use, because the easy way to look at that is to go through your start and then your administrative tools. But I like a little more control with certain things here. So we're gonna go ahead and open up a run here. All right, and we're gonna do the MMC console, because what this allows me to do is to look at various aspects of my domain. So we're going to add a remove snap-in. So let's see if we can't make this bigger. No, we can't. But we can add Active Directory domains of trust, sites and services. We're going to do users and computers here. And reduce sites and services. And then let's just be funny and add computer management. And then I'll ask you, which computer do you want to look at? Obviously, I want to look at this one. You can actually look at other computers within a domain. So say you have a machine that you do all your domain Active Directory work in. This would be good so you can keep a look at all your servers, and this would include your off-site domain controllers, obviously, because they're within a domain. I'll click OK. So boom, there we go. It's the same thing. It's just that it's customized to what I have it tailored to in this particular case. And boom. All right, it's being slow. Oh no, that's not what I want. Users and computers. And then boom, it's just the same thing we just had up earlier. It's just showing me just the domain, and now I can do computer management. Say, oh, yeah, I got X amount of storage here, so on and so forth. So we're going to make a new user group. So we're going to do group. All right, so we're going to do, what is it? We got mobile devs. That's what we're going to do here. So mobile devs. And oh, yes. Global catalogs. I forgot to mention global catalogs. I'll get to that here in a moment. So we're going to do global. Why? Because we're going to do global because we need it domain-wide. We need the whole thing domain-wide. So developers, it's the mobile devs for short.
Okay, hey Gilly, give me about a 5-second or a 10-second about when I would not do global.
5 second when you wouldn't? Like let's say like let's just say let's just say you're the headquarters, right? And I'm the remote. Let's just say I would need it local. Because let's just say I have streaming users or like a kiosk or something, and I have students or something.
Okay.
So honestly, let me ask you: would you need those what I would like to call expendable users with basically almost next to no rights? Would you need that at your level? No.
Okay.
It's really at the keys of the needs for what it is you need it for. So if you wanted to,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I could have 2 mobile apps. I could have an admin app, and I could have a regular consumer app, and therefore then I would have different groups for them. All right, go ahead.
All right. So, well, now we got all these groups. Well, snap. Well, what do we do with these groups? Well, we need users in these groups, right? So we're gonna add a user. So right click. Oh. There we go. And then we're going to add user. Click on user. You know what? We need a name for this user. So we're going to call him Private Snuffy. Private Snuffy. His username, we're going to call him P Snuff. Wow, that's bad PDD joke right there. Wow. So we're going to name this user P Snuffy. Snuffy. There we go. All right. Next. So we're going to give him a password. Generally, so when we make new users on a domain, and of course you got to go by your company policy when it comes to passwords. And by default, Windows Server enforces the complexity rule, so I believe that minimum is 15 characters with 2 special characters, 2 caps, and a number. So in this case, we're just going to do a capital PASSWORD 1 2 3 4 exclamation point. So and obviously we're going to confirm said password.
I've never used that one before, I promise.
Yeah. Are you sure? So we got old Private Snuffy here. Well, we got it. Now we got his password in, and we're gonna check because he's a new user. He's like, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to do some work. We gotta get you set up. You gotta set me up with an account. He's all excited. Well, you gotta change your password next time you log on because for security reasons, obviously.
Okay, and maybe Private Snuffy right now is he's wanting to access our unit app, right? Because we're a high-speed unit, we're Signal, we're telecommunications. So
right.
This is an account. Oh, and we're definitely going to not have to give him very much permissions. I mean, if he's in private, I'm not trying to steal the thunder. So go ahead, please.
But you're absolutely right. Private Snuffy,
You know?
he's new. He's new. He is naive. Who knows what sites he might go to? But the thing is this. Well, he's just a user. Well, we don't want him to be a user. We want him in the mobile devs group. So we right click on Private Snuffy here. We go Properties. And also, I'm going to go ahead and show you this, too. Because I have 2 domain controllers, not just 1, but 2, I'm going to show you that the replication worked as well. So, after we nerf Private Snuffy here, because we don't need him accessing stuff. Because he's not allowed to remote desktop.
He's got a sergeant for that, you know? Right.
So, as you can see, you click on Member Of. Well, you see that Private Snuffy here. So, oh, he's a domain user. Well, no. I'm the system admin, and I say no. Guess what? Do you want to remove Private Snuffy from selected? Absolutely. Group was removed. Select another primary group if you want to remove this one. Oh, well, I guess we have to add him to a group before we can remove him. So, we're going to go ahead and go to Advanced, and then the easiest way I like to do it, and this is by preference, if you know the name of the group by object unit, you can do it this way. I just like to do Find Now because life is simpler that way. So we got the group, where are they at? Mobile devs. Oh, there it is. Boom. Mobile devs. Boom. Within a domain. So now we can remove him from the domain users group. Oh, we need to set this as primary. Oh, set primary. So click set his primary group because there's a hierarchy.
Right, yeah, so you could have multiple groups and essentially probably at the highest group you've got a certain amount of permissions, and if you're a subgroup, I'm not sure, did you ever elevate past those? Is it something like a hierarchy? Or
yeah, it's basically what is parental, forget the term. It's like it's like their child.
Dad says you can't do it, child. Even if your aunt says you can do it, you still can't.
Right. Yeah, and it's tiered, and it really, I hadn't really messed with it in depth because, like, in the case here, let's just say that let me turn my cam back on right fast so you can. So from time to time, what'll happen is you'll get there's tiers of admins. Like, you can have someone that administrates, say, HR, and then another person that, say, administrates the mobile devs. Well, so, and because users can be in more than one group. And let's just say there's let's just go with developers as a whole. So let's say we got the data modelers, your Java devs, your software developers. Well, the data modelers might need to admin certain aspects of, say, the Java devs, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So users can be in more than one group. So, like, for example, I admin this server, so maybe I need your help, so I would give you admin rights. And let's just say there was somebody you trust, but you don't want them to have the same rights you have, so that you could, say, create a group, say, hey, you can remote in, but you can't install software. The only thing you're allowed to do is start and stop services, in short. So, all right, back to lay screen share. All right. So now that that's Private Snuffy's user group, he is a mobile dev. We can remove him from domain users. Boom. Now, oh, I wish I had a means to log into. Uh-oh. Somebody's, okay, that's really weird. We good? Can y'all still hear me? Oh, you muted your mic. Okay, all right, I got it. So Private Snuffy here, he can log on to the domain. He's part of the mobile devs group. So we're going to click on Properties, and now, oh look, there's Private Snuffy. And this is real basic. This is really basic. This is how, add users, remove users in Active Directory. And let's see here. And now I want to touch base on global catalogs right fast. I'm going to go ahead and screen share back to my diagram, and I can keep switching between the two because I want everybody to understand what it is that we're talking about here. So global catalogs, basically, it's self-explanatory. It's a global catalog. It's the catalog for the whole domain, which generally is housed here. And back when Stephen was asking the question about how why would I want, say, why would you want users locally in the domain, so like this RODC right here. But global catalog covers the whole enterprise, and this is where all the machines do all their talking, and that's where all the data is stored. It's basically your index. So if you go looking in, say you go to send an email, let's just say you have Exchange integrated with Active Directory, hence why you have the username at yourdomain.com. You can look and find people. You can find devices, so on and so forth. It's just basically a quick and dry run over about how Active Directory works, why you want it. It's basically a centralized location to manage all of your resources, assets, remote sites if need be. So that way it's all consolidated, and if let's just say a major catastrophe happens, you're good to go. You've got something to fall back on and to control all your assets within your network. Does anybody have any questions?
All right, Gilly, this is me. Yeah, I guess, questions. I guess I'm going to go a little bit more on comments for a second. So, I've been doing a little Googling. My Google foo is good. So, I checked out for Node.js and Active Directory, right? I mean, I'm trying to give this a little bit of development relevance. And so I see that there's a library that LDAP.js client for authentication and authorization for Microsoft Active Directory with ranged retrieval support for large Active Directory installations. Right? I mean, so really what we're saying is with this library that you're going to be able to get and do a lot of things with Active Directory. So what you've already discussed as far as authentication and authorization, and then a little bit farther, it looks like as long as you've authenticated probably within a certain group, then you're going to be able to find if a user is member of. Find user, find group, find users, find groups. If a group exists, a user exists, and there's a couple more, even all the way down to deleted objects. So there's one code integration point. And then matter of fact, let me do search by or sort by most stars. Well, we don't want to see that first one about penetration testing. But all right. Let me see. Cool. I'm seeing something about honey tokens. So definitely, there's a lot of libraries across all the platforms that are going to be able to tie in with Active Directory. So a question. Okay, I hear this thing. My IT guy is saying I need to be able to do LDAP authentication. What is LDAP? Does it have anything to do with Active Directory? How is it associated, etc.?
Well, if you're familiar with the X509 protocol, because LDAP is, yes, X509 is the protocol. But LDAP is the open. I'd like to say it's the open source, because usually when you hear LDAP, that usually means Linux, and when you hear Active Directory, obviously it's Microsoft. It's basically it's a structuring service to help manage assets within a network. And you know what? I need to pull something up on that, because I dealt with this in the military some years back. When we did, there was a system that used X509 as well. It was LDAP, but it wasn't Active Directory. But the way that it functions is exactly the same. It's just I know like everything in the software world, as we all know, Microsoft has their version, Linux has their version, but its sole functionality is essentially the same, and they are able to integrate actually too.
Okay, so all I know is so I've had several projects that have had to integrate, get authentication from Active Directory, from a Microsoft environment. Which, if you're getting authentication from a Microsoft environment, it will be Active Directory unless you're just on a single computer. If you're joining in a domain, then you're going to be part of what he's talking about. So, I know 100% that LDAP does do that authentication against that. So
Yes.
I would say that there's probably so I'm seeing something about Symfony, which is PHP, I believe framework, and it's got LDAP. I think so I'm gonna do a little litmus test here and look for a content management system that Chad Peppers has priorly presented on DevChat LateNight. Well, LDAP. And LDAP for Drupal 7. Yes, LDAP authentication. So definitely, because of the scope of Microsoft in general, then pretty much I guess my point was that you're going to find a lot of integration mechanisms with Active Directory.
Absolutely, or LDAP, which, and like I said, there's it's a protocol. My apologies on that one, but there's like Open LDAP, but most common, 90% of the time, it's usually Active Directory.
Okay, fair enough.
Generally, because of ease of use too, is usually really the real reason why they do that.
So I know that there's also that you can have a new thing by Microsoft. So Microsoft's cloud platform is Azure, and they are even taking steps so that you can take Active Directory, I believe, from your local computer and port. If not all, no, I don't think it's all, but you could port a lot of the functionality in. Definitely, I'd say that the stuff that we've talked about tonight, and put it on the cloud, right?
Yes, you can. Actually, as a matter of fact, I've been doing quite a bit of extensive research on such a thing, and actually, the real best thing you'd want to do is not only have that in the cloud, but you'd also want that on premise, which goes back to my diagram with the PDC. Well, in this case, the PDC happens to be the cloud rather than, say, another site. And yes, it's becoming a thing, and integration is almost seamless once you get down to the brass tacks of it. Because the more I've been, like I said, y'all in the dev chat been pointing me to links, and I'm just like, woo! Mike, I'll tell you, my mind gets blown with some of the stuff that's been happening as of late. So.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, we like to keep it real. So, I mean, that was kind of an inference towards some of the stuff that we provide at Alpha Stacks right now. So we're in alpha and beta for some of the things, but there is a set of capabilities that you can have extremely granular control on permissions, and I really think that's one of the benefits of Active Directory.
Oh, that's probably one of my favorite things is having that control over. Because it's like, I don't know. It's a good feeling. It's like being in a secure place, kind of with your assets, because you spent all of this money on all this stuff. The last thing you need is somebody to just come in there and flick it and it collapse. You know what I'm saying? And an Active Directory kind of solidifies that.
Sure. Okay. So I've got an understanding. If I'm my not quite mom and pop shop, let's say if I've got 3 franchises or something, then pretty much this is what I'm talking about. But whenever we get to more of an enterprise level, can you extend the concepts a little bit towards what like a forest would be, and
Oh
just
yes.
how growth happens?
Yeah, a forest, Active Directory forest. Basically, you've got your primary domain. Well, forest is a group of domains within. Because like what it is, it's a forest. So you've got domain controllers here, domain controllers there, domain controllers everywhere. And so like you'll have, if you wanted to, you could do resources in one, you could do clients in another, you could have your admins in one. So let's just say like I have my Gilly Monster production. So let's just say my streaming division, if you will. I'm like, yeah, that's the streaming.gillymonsterproductions.com. So that's one part of Gilly Monster Productions. It's like they're basically it's domains within domains, if that makes sense.
Okay, so how about if I'm a cloud infrastructure? So if I provide cloud and infrastructure and software, platform as a service and software as a service. If I'm doing a project, right, and I want to integrate with client X, there very well could be a okay. So client X also they've got their Active Directory set up and everything. There could be a situation where I would have their Active Directory, my overarching forest. But I mean, is that going?
Could you say that one more time? Because you went like robotic on me.
Okay, cool. So okay, let's say if I've got a client and I'm integrating some things for him, and I'm going to be doing some management capabilities for him. So let's say with machines and end users, and so I've got an environment that I want him to have access to. But I could have, and I do have, more than one of those users or one of those clients. Then describe shortly like a scenario where like I could have a forest of one user, of another user, and then above that I'm controlling a primary or I guess words are escaping me. Is it so? Can I integrate Active Directories from multiple different users and do that in a forest sense?
So what you're asking is, can you integrate? Let's just say there's two separate domains, and can you integrate the two? Yes, you can. I'll be 100% honest with you. I'm still learning that aspect of it because I have yet to actively do it, but I'm going to do it, and hopefully that's coming very soon.
Dude, you're gonna love you're gonna love what you see. You know that when you're setting up your PDC, for example, and you're doing the Active Directory, DHCP, and a couple other things. So whenever you're doing the Active Directory, and then it prompts you about forests, and if you want to be the root, etc. So there are clever ways that you can do some pretty incredible technological feats.
I just haven't physically done it. I've heard of it, read about it. I just haven't done it. So, and me, I'm a hands-on kind of person. So if I can't tangibly do it, I guess if you will, then I'm like, I gotta do it. I've read about it, but like sometimes doing it makes what I like to do is get videos and then follow along till I get it, and then once I get it, it's all gravy from there.
Simmer down. Hey man, you don't have to make any excuses. You are learning a heck of a lot, and Active Directory and the forests will still grow for you. So,
right.
So I think that's quality. Here, let's say, hey Josh, do you have anything that you want to add in particular? Do you have any questions that you want to state? I know that you've worked with Active Directory in the past a good amount.
Well, I think that as cloud becomes more and more beneficial for companies to not only use, but for developers as well. Say they've mostly been an on-premise Active Directory, and they're wanting to start building out some mobile applications and have maybe those are in-house applications, but they still need to be able to use all of the resources that they've used on their PCs within the company. And, you know, a lot of times a company will use their domain as a .local or something like that, and those domains aren't accessible from outside of their on-premise Active Directory environment. So somebody could hybridize, like you were saying, have it both in the cloud and on-premise, and do those synchronizations and have a write on, or a not a read only, but have a full domain controller on something like Azure or AWS, and write your mobile applications against that. That way, whenever users are needing to authenticate, they're using that, and they don't have to expose things that are on premise. You know, like other equipment, file servers, printers, stuff like that, or maybe you want to. You know, so Active Directory on both sides gives you that ability, like you're saying, you know, with Radius or something like that. And there's other aspects to integrating Radius with Active Directory that can help with development, and that's accounting, the metering of things, the metering of using an app and being able to charge for it. You know, tying and billing with Active Directory and Radius together. So you know, that could tie very easily with in-app purchases, whether that's, you know, like on a tablet or a mobile device. And if you're purchasing, say, a premium application benefit, you know, that could take that and move that user into a new group, or, you know, add them to an additional group, or even very specifically have add-ons that they get where it's using Active Directory for those permissions, but those add-ons may be cloud-only capabilities. You know, like all the other things that you see in Azure. So when you have a development platform, you really want to be, if not completely using the cloud, a hybrid version of that, because, you know, you need all that load balance and failover, and a lot of the times a company, especially a small to medium business, isn't going to have the type of infrastructure to provide an always on, you know, or do they want to, or can they afford it? You know, because, I mean, in order to provide a 5.9 SLA or whatever, you got to have probably 3 different IP connections coming into the building. And when you're dealing with a data center like Azure, you're gonna get that, and Azure does automatically provide those availability sets that could include some of your on-premise stuff. So you know, you can have a whole bunch of on-premise you know, infrastructure that's tied to Active Directory that you can't really guarantee anybody anything, and then do availability sets that include the on-premise and the Active Directory, and then provide those 5.9s with an SLA. So.
Okay, and so I guess I would assume that there would be a migration pattern, right? So if there's there's a company, and let's say they've got their 3 franchises, and they got a great product, and they're growing quickly, there would be a migration strategy that take the level to provide that high availability and the 5 S's.
Well, yeah, what you'd want to do when you're involved in the cloud with that type of scalability, when you have an availability set, that type of stuff is literally about adding additional virtual machines, or changing the virtual machine template that's being used on those machines. Say you're starting to run at 90% CPU on your MySQL or your Microsoft SQL servers. You could very easily what's known as scaling horizontally instead of only scaling vertically.
Right.
You have that dual capability when you're doing stuff like that, and a lot of people who have thousands of users using applications like SharePoint, and Exchange, with hundreds of thousands of email addresses for your company. You see that stuff start to come in, and it's commonly known as a farm or something like that, where when you're using something like System Center, you can have those system profiles in there and literally just pop in the server, join it to the domain, and when it's in that availability set, it's automatically going to start replicating the data across each other, to where you have that, like you were saying, JR, the load balance and failover with doing either just round robin type stuff or a complete failover,
Right.
where a machine, say the hardware completely fails. You have that with the availability sets, and pretty much to infinity.
Right.
When you're dealing with cloud, and when you need to do something like that on premise, it's ordering servers, it's building
It's a
out.
nightmare.
It's a nightmare. You're looking at, hopefully it's like a 2-week operation, but sometimes those types of things take 6 months.
Yeah.
Especially when you're migrating entire forests, like you were saying, all that file replication.
Oh yeah.
But when you're doing things like Active Directory sync, I know Microsoft makes it real easy because they have hybrid sync connectors that will, even on a scheduled basis, it can check both places, see if anything's different, and at times that are best for those particular machines, it can be as a background process.
Yes.
Syncing that information.
So happening at non-peak usage hours.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like let's just say 7 o'clock at night, for example.
Yeah, and you can either specify those or set it to kind of know. Based on the resource allocation.
And I guess with automation, I would infer that they would probably just learn.
Yeah.
And it would adjust fire as necessary.
Especially if you're integrating things like machine learning. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of sites that are common that developers and other people see every day, and you're starting to see little things on it. Like I think even Stack Overflow, I saw a little icon that said powered by Microsoft Machine Learning or Azure Machine Learning, and it's like, wow, machine learning just to be smarter about when is the heavy usage, what is the heavy usage, and it allows people like developers and stakeholders, the business owners, project managers, to know when and why they need to do things.
Yes, definitely. Because I've been seeing that. It's a weird thing, but I'm certain Facebook has that going on too. Because that was like the perfect example of something
Facebook,
that
Twitter.
Like, what was it, 2006 when Twitter crashed? No, it was 2009 when Michael Jackson died. Twitter crashed. Let's just say they had that machine learning. What would have been the outcome then?
Yep. And that's another thing, is you can have these servers that are just on standby that are literally turned off, that you're not paying for. It's on a per minute billing, that kick on when you need that, as standby servers, and that's something that you can't do on premises, really. No,
not at all.
They need to be virtualized, and that's another thing. If you need new virtual machines automatically added to an availability set, that automation and stuff like that can do that for you, and on its own, add an additional 10 virtual machines with X amount of cores and X amount of RAM onto that set, and you didn't have to do anything. I mean, a lot of people are looking at this that do e-commerce, as e-commerce goes into the multi-billions every year, even more and more.
Right.
From, whatever it is that they call it, the golden quarter, from October to Christmas, they need 75-100% more capacity and infrastructure.
Right, and then scale it right back down when it dies off.
Right. So what they've been doing is, before cloud, they've had to buy that 100% what they would ever need, and then have it at very little allocation for most of the year, and just be wasting it, basically.
Yeah, and that was the common thing over the last 10 years. Where they would buy these high-end servers and they would just sit there dormant. And then generally what would happen is they end up getting sold off.
Yeah, to me. and,
exactly.
and other people.
Yeah, because I need to buy. Because what is it? 50? What do you guys pay? They were like really cheap because I've seen them. I've been scoping some out myself, and I was like, all right, for what that is, that's like dirt cheap. Like,
and what it is real ironic, because the reason for these servers is that companies are moving to the cloud, and as they move to the cloud and liquidate and sell off some of their infrastructure, other companies are starting cloud companies and using that infrastructure to build a cloud with. Yeah. In order to get more companies off of their current infrastructure and sell it.
It's crazy, and you know what? Because infrastructure is something that people are always going to need. And I'm going to tell you, now that you say that, I look. You know who's going to benefit the most from this, though?
Who's that?
The small companies, the small mom and pop shops around.
Yep, because they never need to buy the infrastructure, only what they need.
And it would cost them far less too at the end of the day.
And only during the times that they need, So when they start with 5 or 10 employees or whatever, they can be ready to have 500 employees and still be paying for that 5 to 10 person infrastructure.
Right.
And it's going to save small business a ton of money.
Man, and saving small business a ton of money, and medium and large business a ton of money is definitely one of the goals of AlphaStack. So I think we've hit a little bit over our hour mark here. Gilly, thank you for an awesome presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Really at this point, we're trying to have it. Trying to have this like oriented to business, and I think you gave a lot of good use cases in a generalized sense, and I really did like the abstraction that we're finishing up this conversation with. So really, you're able to start with Active Directory in a small sense, but if you need to grow, you've got a lot of different opportunities. One, you can do it in-house. And two, you can try to push it to the cloud, and three, that you could have a company like AlphaStack consult and help implement these things for you. Really, we're trying to provide best of breed applications and things that are really relevant for all the way from the mom and pop shop. I mean, because everyone's using Windows, right? I mean, at least a lot of folks are. I mean, even though I'm using Mac, I'm still using Windows all the time. So, Microsoft, they've been stepping their game up quite a bit, and so I got to give them props for that. And really the infrastructure that they have set out, Active Directory is really a core component of that. I mean, it gives permissions and allows authentication to everything that's near and dear to your shop's heart. So I guess this would be a quick time for around the table. Do we have any outstanding questions that you guys want to get answered, or any summary anybody wants to do before we wrap the session up? JR, we'll go with you.
Not really.
I don't have any real questions. I'm really kind of, I want to see how this really plays well with like open LDAP. There's a few other open source ones because right now I'm really big on the open source side of the house, and Steven, you've known me for a number of years.
And
That's
all day, every day I am too, and still, I mean, I do Microsoft because it does a lot of awesome things. But heck yeah, man, you got a tool belt, and you got to use those tools right.
Oh yeah, I'm just curious about it. That's all. I mean, outside of that, I really don't have any questions because, like I said, it was real basic today. So, because I want to go into in depth because that Active Directory gets pretty down.
Yeah, man, you're clicking on and right clicking in permissions and so. I guess just kind of in summary, if you don't want all that pain, then or if you need help with your pain, then definitely hit up Alpha Stacks, and we will provide you with some good advice. So the roundtable's been done. Thanks everybody for your time, and again, this is late night, so it is 11 p.m. my time.
At midnight 09 Eastern.
And yeah, right. But hey, Gilly. So what? You're at midnight, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's late. Cheers, and we hope to see you back next week. All right.
All right.
Cool. Peace, guys.
All right. Take care.